Mhm. Hello and welcome to Doing Business with Love. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Mila, and today is very, 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 very special and near and dear to my heart because we've got the wonderful and beautiful and amazing Toni Gonzalez, the creator of the G3 Learning Systems. And what she does is amazing because she creates simpler ways to communicate in Spanish in emergency situations for first responders and other people just like us. And welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mila. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you are so welcome. I thought of you, and I reached out, and we had a cute conversation. And Toni was so touched that I invited her that she almost started crying, and then I almost started crying, and we were like kind of tearing up. And so this is like amazing. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, I love you, Mila. You're awesome.
I love you too. Love fest right away. Yeah. Here we go. Now, let's start off with, I just wanted to start off with a little bit of your background because it's very, very important to how you started up everything. And so if you could tell us a little bit about your military career and a little bit about being a police officer on the New Jersey task force there. I don't know if that's the right way of saying it. But,
yes.
Ooh. And by the way, you got to check out Toni in her officer uniform. I love it anyways, but here we go. Okay, yes.
So thank you so much for that introduction. I am a former military girl. I was in the United States Army. I was a Hawk missile crew member. And after that, I came home and I was married and I had a little boy. So I came home and my parents let us stay in their house. And it's a funny story. My brother, who just retired after 27 years in the Army also, he went in before I did. He had applied for a position in the police department. And back then, you would have to go into the city hall and get a piece of paper, fill it out, and then they would mail you an application to take the test. So because I had my little boy and I was married and I had just left the Army and I didn't want to live in my parents' house, I saw the application and I filled it out and I sent it in. Now, I never had a dream. I wasn't that person that was like, I cannot wait to grow up to be a police officer. I'm so proud of it. I wasn't that person. I just needed a job. Turns out that I did love it. I did the best I could, and I have been very successful in this.
You're pretty badass at it. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. So that's how I got started in police work, and it's actually, I never really used to talk about it because it was kind of like, oh man, if I tell people that, they're gonna think that I don't want to, that I'm not happy to be here. But that's not true because sometimes things just happen for a reason,
Yeah, and things do happen for a reason, and I really believe that it's part of why and how you infuse love into your business, right? So you saw a need within your job for first responders.
Yes.
And this is the thing, especially in the United States of America, there is a lot of Spanish-speaking people.
Yeah.
And Spanish-speaking people that don't speak English or that they're talking and knowing that some of us white people don't understand what the hell is going on or whatever, right? So can you tell us a little bit about what your G3 Learning Systems is?
Yes. Well, I do believe that in order to connect a community, you have to be able to have people within the police departments that can understand and also communicate with them. So G3 Learning System started because I wanted to create online classes available for officers, first responders. And it started out with cops, but it turns out that cops are not the only ones that need it. So,
true.
It's so true. So it's not only the cops, it's EMTs, firefighters, whatever. So the idea came about where I was like, you know what? There's always staffing issues. There's always problems with getting people to get to these classes because the academies here in New Jersey, at least, you have to have staffing. You have to have people to cover that person if they're going to the academy. So G3 Learning Systems, I started doing these little videos on G3 Learning Systems. I introduced the company, and I wanted to have all these things available for these officers. So like little courses I started creating little courses, and I started creating like a Facebook page to connect with them. And then I did a couple live classes, but the live classes are hard to do because I do have a full-time job. And, you know, if you're going to go teach, you have to take vacation time, and you can't always take vacation time. Mm-hmm. So that's how all of this idea came about, because I believe that officers, we should have this available to us at our fingertips. Like, so this new age of technology, you know, everything's on the phone, it's on the computer. We shouldn't have to search for training. It should be right here. Why not right here? So the reason that I started the Spanish was, I speak Spanish. I come from immigrant parents, and my father was in the Army, but my mom did not speak English at all. Like, she speaks English now, but that was difficult because we used to hate it because my dad would leave and we had to like translate for her. And my brothers and we used to crack up. We were like, man, I'm sick and tired of translating for her. She needs to learn English.
And then funny enough, you create a whole system for communication, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what your programs do. And you're developing an app, aren't you?
Yes. So the program, our programs in G3 Learning Systems are a series of pre-recorded videos. And so I have like themes for each day of the week. So I'll use today because it's Monday. It's Kicking Monday into Gear. And that series is 6 videos. They're pre-recorded with a PDF workbook that you can download. And also there's an audio available that if you wanted to listen, I would email it to you so you can play it on iTunes. So each week I have like a theme, like I said, and there's modules for each day of the week. So about the app. So you know how when you start out doing stuff and you think it's going to happen quickly? So that
yes.
The universe has plans for you, you know what I mean? And so I wanted to create an app where officers can go on there and get phrases that they needed, and they can get my classes online, blah, 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 right? So I go to the local university and I ask their computer program professor, I'm like, do you have an intern that I could, someone who's interested, whatever. So I get this kid, he builds this app. It doesn't look anything like I envisioned it. And I'm like, and anybody that knows me knows that if it doesn't look exactly like I want it, I have to figure out how to get it that way. So long story short, here almost 2 years later, I finally got my app developer approval. So with Apple, and yes, I'm like, woo-hoo. So I have a company in Florida, and it's Get With Mobile. If you don't know who they are, check them out. They're very nice. The owners are very nice people, and they have helped me out so much. Anyway, this app is going to be, I'll use this, there's like a little categories like arrest, booking, in-person questions and things like that. So what you can do is you hit, let's say you want to say, I ask someone what's their name, and it's not a dangerous situation. You hit that little speaker and it asks that question for you. And now you know that it's in English and Spanish, right? So now that makes it so much easier for you. So that's what the app is about. And another
part is with your system is that how people can actually identify key phrases.
Yes.
That keep us out of emergency situations.
Yeah,
like alert us to that, right? So
yes,
it's like if somebody has a gun or whatever, those are important phrases, and you're saving lives, Toni. Like, I think you're a little too humble. I think you're saving lives with this stuff.
Thank you.
And you really are, like, you've already been, military personnel. You're already a police officer. It's like you're protecting the world, honestly.
Thank you. Thanks. I actually, I always wanted to help people. Like, I want to have officers out here be safe. And that was the reason behind it, because, there's been times, and I know I look Hispanic, okay? There's been times I walk up to a car, okay, and they're speaking to each other because they don't expect me to speak the language. And I'm not saying that all Hispanic people out here are trying to hurt cops. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's been times that I've heard things as I'm walking up to the car, and it's been in the language that I speak. So why not give that tool to other officers so they know that if they're saying gun in Spanish, that I just heard gun. Or if they're going to say, I'm going to hurt this officer, that they know that they're planning an attack on a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have seen videos out here, training videos where the language was what got the officer hurt.
Yeah.
So why not make it easier for our officers? Why not keep them safe out here? And if only one person listens to my programs, I just saved one person. So I'm happy with it,
And that is actually, my question is usually, how do you infuse love in your business? But that is everything, because you're literally saving people's lives. And not only that, but it's good for all of us to learn these things, because let's face it, our world has gone a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Right? There is mass shootings, there's all sorts of stuff, and that is actually the reality of your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
It's not my reality, but it is yours. And I want to thank you for all of your service, for all the many, many years that you've done, and creating the system to keep first responders safe and to keep us safe as well. And you have other fun stuff too. So let's talk a little bit about that, because there's wellness area coming in too, because Toni is also just about a certified nutritionist, if I am correct, just about, not too much longer. And
like 4 classes away.
Yeah. Toni and I talk about nutrition and like running. She's a runner as well.
Yes, I love running.
And not only that, I think Toni's just amazing, because she had brain surgery too, and just last year, and she has overcome it. She's back on the health train. She's back on doing everything. And I don't know, I got to sing your praises. Honestly.
It means so much to me, because I am where I am today because of all your help too, Mila. So I just want to give you all the props, because you're out here trying to teach us about business, how to have confidence in ourselves. So to you, I say thank you, because I learned a lot. And when I went searching on the internet, because let me tell you, people, it's all at your fingertips. It really is.
It is. Yeah.
Internet, you got to do it. I went searching and your name popped up. So
nice.
So
thank
you.
And, yeah.
And then I just, you have to think, when you ask for things, they show up. You know what I mean? So anyway, thank you. Not to get sidetracked, but
yeah, that's okay. So tell us a little bit about the wellness area that you're going into, and how important this is for first responders as well as others, right? Because one of the things that I know that you incorporate into this now, and what you've been starting to do, is incorporating the suggestions of meditation and things like that, because your job is stressful.
It is. So I never thought that I would be incorporating a wellness into my classes. I was like, how does this even tie in? A year ago, I would have never thought of it. But it is so important for first responders to de-stress every single day. And I really mean it, because the things that we see in one day, many people in this world never see in their entire lifetime. So what happens is we internalize a lot of these things that we see. We see a lot of trauma. We see a lot of death. And you know how you hear a lot of people say, oh, why was that cop laughing at the scene when it was, there was a mass shooting? Well, we have to sometimes step out of our bodies to deal with the situations that are at hand. I'm not speaking for those officers, but I will tell you this. I have been at scenes where I am laughing with my coworkers because they're saying something funny to me and we're talking through that situation. So if a reporter comes and takes a picture of them laughing, it has nothing to do with, I know for me, I'm speaking, it has nothing to do with that. But the reason that I feel so passionate about this wellness portion is that in this country, and not to knock my country because I do love it, in this country, there is not enough done for officers or first responders when they see traumatic events.
No, and it changes. Like I just prior to this interview, we were chatting a little bit beforehand, as Toni and I chat, and I was saying there's a town here in Vancouver, BC, that just hired 25% more firemen staff in their area because of the rise of PTSD. And that happens from seeing too many overdoses, like here, there's an actual epidemic of overdoses going on. And this is actually part of society these days, and that really takes an effect, and it burdens people that are first responders. I actually dated a fireman that said he couldn't do it anymore, and then he had to go into something else as well, and he was inventing things, and I don't know if he'll ever do it. We broke up, but anyways.
Well, he's in the past, so
yeah.
We don't look backwards, honey. We look forward.
yeah. But what I'm saying is that he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it anymore. He was only in it for 4 years. So like to be in it for 20, 30, 40 years, right? Like,
yes.
And dealing with these things over and over and over again, you've got to be a strong person, and you've got to have that outlet of something, of some sort of mindfulness or wellness practice or something, because you'll lose it if you don't, right?
No, 100%. So one of the reasons we talk all the time, I believe that if you should de-stress every day. So what I do, you run, and we're both runners. We love running. How I de-stress is by running. And not everybody out here is going to be wanting to de-stress that way, because let's face it, running is painful sometimes. And
well, I got a black toe. I've had a black toe for like months because I increased my miles so much. Yes.
And you'll lose the toenail, and it sucks, and you can't wear flip-flops.
Right.
Trust me.
There is multiple ways to de-stress, and a lot of it is like through self-love, taking time for mindfulness. You can do tapping, you can do journaling, you can do whatever, right? And each and every, or just go for a walk, a meditative walk, or getting into nature, or doing creative painting, like intuitive painting. Like this is an intuitive painting. I do everything under the sun, right? And all of it is important for mental wellness. And I actually take more time than I think anybody, and I still think that I could do more for my own mental health. But it's super important. So I really, really think it's a great benefit that you're adding in this aspect.
Thank you.
Into the G3 learning systems, because you've learned a lot and grown a lot, and you know from personal experience what it means to you. So tell me a little bit about what it means to you to have that, to have been doing the self-care and mindfulness.
Yeah. So I've learned a lot about myself because way back when, and not to get into my divorce and things like that, but about 10 years ago, I got divorced. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, where did I go? Like, I lost myself. I was very unhappy. I was very overweight. I was very depressed. I was so sad. I felt like my whole life had crashed before me. And I met somebody who said to me, and this person is amazing, an amazing person, said, you need to start doing stuff for yourself. So I was like, what is this? What is she talking about? Right.
What does that mean? Yeah. Right? Because I've been there, Toni. I have been there. I was in a relationship long-term relationship that was not a healthy long-term relationship. I lived with the guy. I gained weight. I lost myself, because what happens is, and I think a lot of females go through this, and actually I think some males go through it as well. I'm not going to just leave it to just our own gender, but what happens is when we connect with somebody and we're together with them for a very, very long term, you have to work at keeping yourself, your own identity.
It's tough.
And like, you know, by the time I got out of the one relationship there that was really not healthy, I didn't even know what color I liked anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't even know that I liked pink still.
Yeah.
I mean, and now, like, I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, this was so long, but you have to figure out what it is that you like and go for that. And if you don't know right now, try a bunch of stuff out.
Yep. That's exactly what I started doing. So the funny thing is I started running, and I was always athletic growing up, but I had let myself go. Like, I was really let myself go. I started working out, and I started reading a lot of self-help books. And people used to make fun of me. They were like, you know, enough with the self-help books. And I'm like, they're helping me. They're helping me. And they were. So then I started reading like women in business and things like that. And there's a lot of positivity in that, you know? So I learned in those books that you have to take care of yourself. You have to put yourself first, stop every day, you know, honor yourself. And that's what I want to bring into what I'm doing now. I mean, we don't hear that enough in law enforcement. We don't hear, hey, listen, you need today to do this, this, and that. What you hear is, you know, you need to get a physical to make sure that everything's okay. But nobody ever says, how's your mental health doing? It's like taboo. You know what I mean? Because maybe, I don't know, maybe they're afraid that something.
That you'll say, no, I'm about to crack. Yeah.
Right. You know, so I want to listen, I'm not about to make people feel uncomfortable or do things that they don't want to do. But I guarantee you that each and every one out here that's dealing with a tough job, you need at least 5 minutes to yourself to de-stress and to let your mind go and think of nothing. You know what I mean? And it's just, that's what I want to bring into it. And maybe someday I'll be before Congress talking about how each and every police department needs to have a office where someone, if they're having a hard day, that they walk down that hall and they knock on that door and they go in confidence and talk to somebody and feel better. So maybe that's what I want to see for.
You heard it here first, people. Yeah. Toni making waves in the Congress. Yeah. I can totally see it. It's so true. You know, it's just so very important. And like 5 minutes, literally it's minutes that you need. It's not, you don't have to make it a 5-hour practice a day. It can be literally minutes.
Yes.
So that's so important. Okay. So how has following your intuition in your business helped or hindered you?
Well, I'm very intuitive, as you know. I don't know. It's so many things. Like I get clues and hints, and sometimes I have to go to my friends to, you know how you have to phone a friend? I'm like, phone Mila.
Hey, but that's okay, right? Yeah. That's okay. You have, like, everybody needs help. Nobody, like, that is super high up in any business, CEO or anything, does it alone. Nobody does it alone.
No, you're right.
This is part of why I'm showcasing everybody in all of these different fields, because I've actually talked to and utilized and used and bought courses and talked to all of these people. And it's part of my arsenal. It's part of my team. It's part of the thing. It's part of being successful, right?
Yes.
You've read a bunch of books. You've taken a bunch of courses, right?
Yes.
Then what the main key is that you incorporate it into your life, right?
Yes.
You actually implement it. Implementation is the best thing you can do. You can read all the books and not do anything about it.
Gosh.
It means shit, but like, you know.
No, it's so true. I remember, well, to answer the question about how intuition has
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just that sometimes, it takes me a few minutes to like even acknowledge that that's there. You know what I mean? It's not that I'm like fighting it, but how I know that this is how I follow my intuition, especially with G3 learning systems and bringing the wellness into it, is I kept on thinking to myself, I am connecting people with language and things like that, and helping them with phrases, but there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. And I kept on hearing, there's something else, there's something else. And the something else is they need wellness. We need a portion of mental health in there. We need a portion of, listen, this is how you do it. Listen, not everybody knows how to feel good.
No, it's actually practice. It's actually a practice. You have to choose it. You have to choose, I want to feel good today, or I want to feel calm today, or I want to feel successful today, or I want to do this today. I want to feel like a rock star. You've got to choose that, because we don't actually naturally wake up and feel amazing unless we've had practice at it.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And let's face it, and I have to say this because if I don't, then I'm not being true to who I am. Most of us that become law enforcement officers don't come from the best backgrounds. And I'm not saying that about myself, but a lot of us want to help people because we come from that. People have helped us.
Situation, yeah.
Right. So if you come from, and I'm not saying this is everybody across the country, because I know everybody's like, I can't believe you said that. But a lot of people that choose, a lot of people that choose jobs like this want to help somebody because somebody helped them. Yeah. And nobody taught them how to do that. Listen, nobody in my house, my parents are great people, but they never said, hey, listen, today you're going to take 10 minutes to, to yourself. All right. And then you're going to like, just think about, just meditate. Nobody in my house ever said that.
Nobody told me that either. Right.
No. My mom used to be like, you're not moving fast enough. You need to clean that. You need to do this. And your brother needs help with his homework. And you know what? It all better be done in 10 minutes. Like that's how I grew up.
I know. Right. Why aren't you doing this? Why didn't you do that? Why did you do that? And do this and do this and do this. But here's the thing. I think in that generation that raised us, it was a little bit different. It's a little bit different. It's different these days than it is. More people, like, here's the thing, is that the people that are raising kids now are more aware.
Yes.
More spiritually aware, more, they identify with the fact that they need that me time. It's kind of like that you've got to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you help anybody else.
Yeah.
So it's uber important to do that self-care and mindfulness and stuff like that. Like I do a little bit of something every day for myself.
Yes.
So
yes, like you said, it takes practice, and you have to implement it every single day. And and with practice, you get better. So I know that personally, it took me a couple of years to kick myself in gear with the self-care, but every day it's a practice now. So I don't have to think, it's like second nature. So I just do it,
Mm-hmm.
And
I know and then I want to actually ask you a little bit about your intuitive hits, like while you're on the job.
Yeah.
Because Toni's like a real badass, right? Like, so she's an actual, like, a cop. Like, she's
yes,
like,
I am.
she like goes to houses, and there's things that happen because your intuition has saved you from a lot of things and caught a lot of the bad guys.
Yeah, it has. It's very taboo out here to even for law enforcement when you hear that someone's like this, but it has helped me a lot. I've caught many people. I just know where to go, and I'm there. But it has saved my life more than one time. And there's been there's one specific event that happened that I knew we were in like deep crap. And luckily we were all talking at the same time, and we got to this call, and they were going to kill us. It was an ambush. So it gives me the chills every time I think about it, because that day I was the roundsman. I was in charge. I wasn't a sergeant yet, but I was like the most senior person. The call came in, and I just happened to be talking to these two guys, and he's like, "Oh, another first aid call." And I'm like, "I'll go with you." And then the other guy goes, "Yeah, I'll go with you too." And that was like, I believe that I was there for that reason. We get there, and just something just didn't seem right to me, and I just felt it. And I was like, you know what? I went into it, and we wound up fighting for our lives there. And that's
And you made
a
it
lot.
up.
Yeah, I've had a lot of things that happen. A lot of times that I've either heard something or just felt it that saved my life, you know? So.
And that was like little intuitive nudges for you too. So, and I bring this up because back when I was like younger and I used to go to the bar all the time or whatever, it was really, really funny because like I would be like, I don't like the vibe in here. I'm going to go, right? And I take off. 10 minutes later, a barroom brawl would show up.
Yeah, it's
or
that
something
feeling.
like that, right? Just, I want to bring this up, especially in emergency situations. If you do not feel safe, it is okay to leave, and it's actually highly recommended. So
Yes, it
listen
is.
to those nudges, right?
It is. And
Listen
I fought that.
things off, right?
I fought that for years. Like for years, I used to be like, I used to hear stuff. I used to feel it, and I'm like, okay, that's crazy. And I thought it. And then I would find myself in terrible situations, terrible scenarios, and you learn, and then you meet people and they help you, and but it is important to listen to that. I call it the sixth sense. I tell people that in my squad, I'm like, listen, you got to listen to your sixth sense. I said, if your hairs are sticking up in the back of your neck, it's telling you something. Don't go in there. Ask for a backup. Do this, do that,
Yeah.
So
that's really, really, it's key. So I just want to, let's go to why. Well, we've already discussed why your G3 learning systems is super important for just people and first responders, is because it saves lives.
yes.
So I just want, it saves lives, and listening to your intuition can save lives as well. I've gone through this whole series with people on like health and business and everything. This is actually a life-saving video. So I want to thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So how can you, let's ask for a couple of tips. I always ask everybody for a couple of tips. How can we do a little bit of fun stuff with Spanish, or because what Toni teaches is conversational or functional Spanish. If you're looking for like the correct textbook thing, whatever, and like whatever, you're not going to find that here. No. This is conversational, functional, language skills that you can apply to like any situation. And I love that. And I actually think that that's something that should be celebrated, because you know what? If you're studying Spanish in like, let's say, Harvard, or I don't even know if they have that, but if you're studying in Harvard, you're going to be learning the most eloquent form of Spanish. And let's just get real for a few seconds and say that that's not going to be the majority of the people that are causing ruckus on the street. No, they will not be saying things the same way. So.
Absolutely not. No one's going to say, make sure that you have a noun, verb, and all that in there. So, but so quick tips. So that most Hispanics use two last names. Now, I was born and raised here. I only have one last name. But if you're dealing with someone who is here, I'm not going to pick a country, just say they just got here, whatever, and you're stopping them and they show you an ID that has a first name, a middle name, and two last names, okay? It's important to know that the two last names incorporated are the mother's last name and the father's last name. So how do you know which last name is which? In the United States, right, we use, and I'm sure in Canada is the same way, the last name that's shown is the father's last name, right? Well, that's not the way it is for Hispanic countries, Spanish-speaking countries. And not every single one, but I'm just going to let you know that if the last name, I'm going to use an example, Vasquez Rodriguez. Rodriguez is the last name that you see. That is the mother's last name.
Okay.
It's important to know and ask which name is which, because for us in law enforcement, if we enter the wrong name into the computer, what happens is you have just created an alias for that person, and you've just made their life so much easier and
my goodness,
life harder. So it's important to know which name is which and ask. And I'm going to give you a couple Spanish short phrases. So mother is madre, father is padre, right?
Yeah.
Apellido, that's last name. Apellido de tu madre is your mother's last name. Apellido de tu padre is your father's last name. So those are short ways to ask. Apellido de padre, apellido de tu madre.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's how all my lessons are like that. I always, add cultural tips, shorter phrases, because it's important for the officers to remember, these first responders to remember it quickly.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So
thank you so much.
Okay, so how do we find you, Toni? Where do we find you online?
Okay, so I have I'm on Facebook in 2 different spots, and I have my website, and I'm on Thinkific. So I'll start out with Facebook. You can find me at G3 Learning Systems LLC, and it's a public page, and it's my page, but I also do training there. And every Tuesday I go live for the Tuesday tip, right?
Nice.
So if you are a first responder or you are a volunteer first responder and you really want to be in a space for just first responders, I'm at Basic Spanish for First Responders Academy. And there you just have to answer a couple questions and you come in, and we allow you into our space, and there's a lot of training there. You can also find me on my website, which is www.g3learningsystems.com. And that's currently being redone, but it's just getting some beauty tips,
Nice.
It needs to look more like Toni. I'm
yeah.
I want my personality
all the time. I was just thinking about that. I have changed so much from when I first started business to now. It's I used to have black and hot pink, as a design business. And then when I went to tarot and the spiritual stuff, I went to white with the hot pink. And then, it's evolved. Yeah. And everything always evolves, right? So every once in a while, don't be afraid to shake it up and change it up and claim the new phase, right? Because that's what it is.
Yeah, I love it.
How do we say something fun in Spanish? I don't know. It's just oh, geez.
I'm trying to think.
I was trying to think of a phrase let's go have a drink or something.
Oh, yeah, though it never translates
to do
fun
that
stuff, right?
You can't do that.
I know.
We're so far away from each other.
I know. I have to come up with some fun phrases, and I'll definitely add them on here. But one thing that my squad is always saying is "Hasta la vista, baby." They're always saying "Hasta la vista, baby," and I'm like, "Is that all you know?" Later, baby.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's the perfect phrase to cap off this show. So, hasta la vista, baby. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of the show, Toni.
Thank you so much.